welcome each and every one of you to the second session of Shopping for Profits tonight. So just giving you a little bit of background about me and Tony. Tony's actually taking a much needed vacation tonight, but she is a teacher, a wonderful teacher, and she's been selling online for a greater part of about 15 years. And she and her husband, Chris, have 4 daughters, and she sells all over the place. So if you've ever been privileged enough to be on one of Tony's trainings, you know that she's very passionate about all of the shopping that she does. She shops, she coupons, she flips things on eBay and, as well as on Amazon. She does merchant fulfill and FBA. So Tony is just a real go-getter when it comes to the retail arbitrage piece, which is why I am so happy that she and I partnered on this. She shared some wonderful finds with me earlier this week that I just could not believe, but Tony will be back with us next week. And so I'm gonna let her, in all of her passion about the shopping that she did while she was traveling, bring that to you for herself. She did send it over to me, but I did not upload those. So she's on vacation this week and she's super excited. So she'll be back to add even more value next week when she gets back. So I am a side hustle chick extraordinaire. I've been selling online for a greater part of about 20 years. And I have always been selling stuff. When there was no online, then I was selling stuff offline. I would find things outside around our house that my dad had bought at a garage sale or a thrift shop or whatever. And while they were at work during the summer, I would drag all that stuff out to the curb, put it on the table with a for sale sign and some lemonade, and I would make money for all of my summer ventures. And the crazy thing was, my dad shopped at garage sales and thrift stores so much, a lot of times he wouldn't even know that the items were missing until even, in one particular instance, I can remember a few years had passed by before he started looking for something. And he's like, has anybody seen this lamp? And I'm like, I don't know where that lamp could be. That was me being mischievous as a child, but I did get my feet wet with resale at a very young age. So e-commerce is my full-time hustle now. I do a lot of different things on the side, but it actually pays all of my bills. I do mostly FBA. That's my preferred platform, and I'll get into why. But between Tony and I, the flexibility that we have with actually shopping for profits is the reason that we have chosen this as one of our preferred platforms. And so I just want you to know that you're in good hands when it comes to shopping for profits. We are not some of these internet gurus that pull together a bunch of slides and just tell you, you know, this is what you should do. One of the reasons today was so hectic for me is because, as you all know, next week is Amazon Prime, or later this week actually. And so I've been busy around here trying to get all of my items listed. I had everything shipped in, but I was actually changing some of my inventory numbers and making sure that I had all my ducks in a row. So we are hands-on, boots on the ground kind of trainers. And if you ever need to know specifics about some of the deals and things that we are able to find, we hope that you will take an opportunity to dial into the Q&A. We have one tonight, so I will try and keep it brief. I know we always go over on our Tuesday night training, but that's just because we have so many nuggets to share. So just a review of last week. I hope you all were able to make it. It was super great. But last week, I just kind of got into why FBA is such a great model. If you guys are doing, other platforms, I am super passionate about FBA. It has given me the flexibility to be able to spend all of the precious time that I have with my sons, and for them to be able to engage in all the activities that they have going on. And so just looking at some of the numbers last week, we were able to show you just how we're crushing it, and we're just doing, you know, what we always do. We're shopping in stores that we're already in, for the most part, picking up personal things. We've got our own shopping schedules, but when we go around to these stores, it is, for the most part, a fun time. I hope that you guys get an opportunity to go out with either Ms. Nicole on one of her Shopping for Profits trips, or myself. I don't do them nearly as often as she does because we're always out of town on the weekends, but I just hope that you guys get a chance to take part in one of those. Last week, we also showed you how to get your Amazon account started if you didn't have one of those, and then went through all of those steps. And then at the end of it all, I told you that if you build your account and put inventory in it, the people will come. And one of my favorite things to say is everything sells on Amazon. So it's really just a matter of how long it's going to take. If you've got items in, we'll do some other tips and strategies on how to decide how much of something to ship in. I don't know if you were able to participate in the early part of the summer, right before school was out, where we talked about a 30-day strategy and that sort of thing in preparing for the Sellers Academy. But one of my favorite things to say is everything sells on Amazon. So when you get your trusty scanner out and you look and you see that there's an item that has sold on Amazon before, there's tons of tools that will give you historical data, and you'll know that the reason we love this model is because it's proven. The items are already there, the way I do it anyway, but the items that I'm scanning and actually deciding to source are items that are already selling on Amazon. And so I know that eventually they will sell again. So you get your inventory in, just know that the items will sell. So build your inventory, they will come. Now, those are just a quick review of what we covered last week. So you may be thinking, that's all great, but now show me, I got my inventory in, I've got my inventory, I don't have it in yet. We're gonna show you some things about some shipping in later series, but got my inventory, I've got my account. We talked some about how to get some of those sales going, but tonight I wanna focus on just a few easy ways to get more sales on your Amazon account. So I've been asked to kind of look at the growing piece of retail arbitrage. Last week was build it. This week we're going to talk about growing it. And when we talk about growth, when you're looking at an Amazon account, for most people, myself included, growth means more sales. And more sales means, if you're depending on your model for ROI, more sales should mean more profit, should mean more income. So by the end of tonight, I just want to be able to help you understand the difference kind of between eBay, which some of you may be doing now, and Amazon FBA, which is what Tony and I do a lot of. And if you are on Amazon or have been on Amazon or have had any sales on Amazon, then you've heard all the talk about the buy box. And so tonight, I hope to be able to shed a little bit of light on understanding why the buy box is so important, what the buy box is, and how you can go about winning the buy box. You hear those terms all the time too. So last week we talked about some vocabulary, and I'll bring that back up. But tonight I want to go into the actual steps for creating a shipping plan. We will have, depending on when you're listening to this recording, we will have actual videos, foundation videos that will show you some of these actual steps to getting some of these things done. And so in the interest of time tonight, I'm not going to go step by step, but I will tell you what the steps are. And so what we will do is add the links to either the YouTube channel or wherever we're going to have those videos so that you'll be able to go back and actually address each of these items step by step. So just learning the steps to creating a shipping plan, and then a few easy ways. I call this low-hanging fruit, but there are some super easy ways that you can increase your numbers. When we just talk about, I've got an account now, I feel good about going out, I feel good about scanning and finding a few things, I've got those items shipped in and I'm getting some sales. What can I do as an Amazon seller to increase those numbers? And so hopefully by the time I'm done tonight, there will be some things that you will learn that you may not have heard anywhere else, but some things that you'll be able to implement right away. So last week we talked about Amazon. I'll just go through a few of these just because I may use a few of them tonight. But we talked about the buy box, we talked about FBA. The offset of that is fulfilled by merchant. Tony and I both do some of that as well, but tonight I want to focus on the FBA side of it. Q4, we're going into Q4 here in just about a month. I hope you guys are getting your inventory ready. Prime Week is later this week. I hope you guys got some things in for Prime Week. As I've said, Everything sells on Amazon. It's just a matter of when. I can tell you if you've picked some of the items that have already sold before in Amazon, this is the week that people will be going to try to either replenish or look for things that they may not have been able to find at a different time, because they know that there will be all types of promotions, and that Amazon really, really does a good job with marketing the items that you put out there. Excuse me. So looking through this, we talked about these last week. This is a slide from last week. Just wanting to see if there are going to be any of these acronyms that I'm going to use tonight that you might not be familiar with. Out of stock, that's just when you run out of an item that is already there at one of the fulfillment centers. Order defect rate, that's one of the metrics that Amazon uses, and I'll talk about the buy box, but that's one of the metrics that they use to determine whether or not you're going to get it. And then replan, if you've got a product that you know you can get more of, that's just a term we'll use when you're gonna go and send some more of that in. So selling on Amazon, and this again is referring to FBA, but I like, as I said last week, I like to give you the real deal. I'm not gonna make it all glory and none of the guts, but there are pros and cons to every platform. And so having sold on FBA for many years, just ramping it up probably in the last 5, I'm very, very familiar with what I see as the pros and the cons. And Amazon has been, it's a behemoth, but it's been changing along the way. So some of these may not have been an issue 3 or 4 years ago, and now, you know, things change. So you have to be adaptable. But the biggest pro with Amazon, especially FBA, is that it is the absolute biggest marketplace. All of your buyers are already on Amazon. I guarantee it, if they don't have an Amazon account, they would be in the minority. But even if they don't, Amazon does such a great job of marketing that if they type in something, if it's just in a Google search, then Amazon is going to reign in those categories as well. So Amazon has a way to get them over to Amazon without us having to do a whole lot. So you're not having to do a lot of marketing. You're not having to try to find the buyers for the products that you have, because you've already done that through their wonderful app that tells you just about everything that you need to know in terms of what your profit is going to be, how often the item is going to sell, and categories and that sort of thing. Another big pro is that about 44% of households in the US right now, and this was, I think, at the end of 18, so it's probably increased a little, but already have a Prime account. And so everybody trusts the Amazon name. Amazon is known for great customer service. Amazon is known for fast shipping. And so when someone goes to the Amazon website to look for something, they are most of the time ready to buy. They trust the Amazon name, they're going there, they're ready to buy. And when they click on buy it now or decide that they're going to put something in their cart, you are benefiting from Amazon's massive marketplace share in the retail industry. So the other big pro is ease of use. When you're dealing with Amazon FBA, you know that there's going to be quick shipping, and you know that you're going to have the flexibility of being able to ship your items in. And as I mentioned last week, if I need to go out of town for the weekend, then the items that are there at FBA, Amazon is going to take care of those. I don't have to worry about rushing back to get something shipped out because I got a sale. That happened to me so often when I was selling on eBay. And as a merchant fulfiller, Amazon does let you kind of turn your listings off, but it's great to know that you have items up in their warehouse, and so they're going to continue to sell. Pardon me. Another great pro with Amazon is that they are the king of data. So whenever you're looking for information about a particular item, whether it's an item that you're sourcing, planning to source, wondering about sourcing, or even if it's an item that you find in your house and you just, you know, realize that you haven't used it for a while, you can find out information about just about any item if it has ever sold on Amazon. They are wonderful at having all types of ways to report information about a certain item. And so because they're the king of data, they're kind of my go-to place to find out information about a particular product. If you've got I want to say a UPC code, but even if you don't have a UPC code, if you've got, you know, if it's an item that's out of box, but you know what that item is called, common names for it, Amazon can pull information from a very long time ago and tell you the likelihood of whether or not that item is going to sell. If you are selling new items, Amazon is where you want to be. People look to Amazon whenever they see something. I can give you a few examples, but a few times you'll go out and you will see something that seems really cool. I do this all the time at my son's basketball games, see all kinds of gizmos and gadgets. And you ask someone, hey, that's pretty cool. Where'd you get that? And usually the response about 8 out of 10 times is, oh, I got this on Amazon. But if you ever get any response other than Amazon, the first place I go when someone tells me, oh, I got this at, you know, XYZ electronic shop or whatever, the first place I go is to Amazon to see, you know, if I can find that item, if I can find it at a good price or whatever. And that's typically what people do. So that's great for new items. The cons, and I'll start at the bottom there, but if you're using the e-commerce platforms to try to sell used items or collectibles, lots of people are into collectibles. And oftentimes now with the internet being so prevalent, people will look to try to sell those items online. Amazon is not the best use for that. There are categories that you can sell used and collectible, but a few hoops you have to jump through. So not to say that it is not a viable place to sell those items, but as a con, it's just not necessarily the best market. So in comparing this to eBay, which is one of the things I mentioned at the beginning that I would do, is just kind of give you some of the differences. But if you have used items, if you have a bunch of collectibles, if you had an inheritance or something that may have been passed down to you that you don't have a use for that you'd like to try to monetize, those items are typically going to be better sold on eBay. There's a ton of other sites you could go to, but right now in this current market, Amazon and eBay are still the giants in e-commerce. So just comparing those two, because those are the two that I've sold on most frequently. The cons, again, higher fees. Amazon does have higher fees than eBay, but if you look at the fact that you are actually getting a service, Amazon's doing the bulk of the work for you. And so obviously they're going to charge you, a fee to take care of that. Smaller global market than eBay, and people are often surprised by that, but eBay is in, I think about 17 different countries, but about 70% of the retail sales, not retail sales, I'm sorry, the online sales for eBay, or I'm sorry, not eBay, but for eBay Global is higher than Amazon. Amazon is in about, I think, 12 different countries. eBay's in about 17. So it's not that Amazon's a bad place to be, but if you're definitely looking for like an international presence, eBay might be one that you'd look to. Again, just kind of comparing the two. And one of the major cons that people often mention but don't really go into a lot of detail about is the fact that Amazon actually competes with their third-party sellers. So if you have an item and you might even find a niche for an item, you go out, you do all this great sourcing, you put things up, you've run all your numbers, you know what your profit margin is going to be, you source a ton of things, a number of, not a ton of different items, but a ton of a particular item because you know what the profit's going to be, and you've got all your numbers set up. Well, Amazon is known for kind of taking that data, because they are the king of data, but kind of taking that data and figuring out, because they're such a retail giant, how they can get into that same market. And they are known for kind of undercutting some of their sellers. So if you are finding items and they're mostly new items, and you need the flexibility of actually being able to get the items up there and not have to worry about them, Amazon is your place. eBay is one of those things, if you've got kind of a niche market and you don't want to have to deal with the competition because you've got an item that is, excuse me, bringing you some great profits and you don't want to share those profits with anybody, eBay is a great place to actually get started. And then if you are going to make any changes to your inventory or maybe even your shipping plans, you might migrate over to Amazon a little while later, especially if you can work out a deal with the supplier that you might be, you know, an exclusive distributor or that sort of thing, so you don't have to worry about it. But Amazon has such a great amount of buying power that that has often been something that has come up. So we are now going in part two. And so if you have actually got your business started and you are wondering if you're really ready to grow it, I'm going to give you a couple of tools and tips, just easy stuff. Tonight's going to be about things that you can do right away, just to take a look and see how you can grow your numbers, especially if you know your numbers. So I know one of the things that Nicole has talked about over and over again is to know your numbers. You need to know how much you need to make. You need to know exactly what your ROI is going to be. You need to know how long you need to work to actually meet those numbers. You need to know how much of an item you need to send in order to meet your goal. If you've got a monthly goal, she talked about that at the onset of the eCom Sellers Academy, exactly what you needed to do to sit down and make sure that you had all of your goals set out before you so that you knew what you were working toward. So if you know your numbers, we're going to talk now about how to grow your numbers. So if you were here last week, we talked some about retail arbitrage and actually what it is and how it works. So this is a slide from last week. I just wanted to cover it in case anyone missed it last week, but it's fairly simple. You're basically going into a retail store, stores that you typically already shop in. And when you walk into that store, they've got a price. So you buy the product for their retail or their clearance price, and you're selling it at a higher price, hopefully on FBA, and then you realize a profit. Many people wonder, like, why do people buy things at this, you know, inflated rate on these different websites or whatever? I always tell people, I don't care why they do it. I just know that it pays my bills. So it is a viable market. It is not illegal. And there are lots and lots of people making a lot of money doing it. So we talked about the numbers that Amazon puts out as far as how many people are actually making over $100,000 right now. And it's in the upward of more than 20,000 people just in the last quarter. So why do we shop for profits? Retail arbitrage, as I've mentioned, is my preferred method of sourcing right now. I'm looking into making a few changes to the platform just because of personal things that have going on with my sons and our schedule, but I've been doing retail arbitrage for about the last 5 years, pretty much full time. Like I said, I do a lot of different things, but this is how I actually get everything taken care of. And, you know, it comes with the good and the bad in terms of my own personal stuff and how I've got to shift my schedule, but it gives me the flexibility to be able to get it done. I mentioned last week, I went through a pretty rough patch at the beginning of the year with a move and some other things that were going on, and I shut my store down. But immediately when I opened it back up and shipped some things in, it's like everything just started selling. And so the flexibility that it offers is unparalleled. And so I like that I'm able to work from anywhere, and I'm able to support my family just by purchasing items in the stores that I'm going into. So as a good example, when we are traveling often I have two sons, 12 and 14, but they play basketball. And so we're gone a lot on the weekends. And if I'm in another place, another state, another city, another town or whatever, and I see stores that I normally shop in, I'm able to go into those stores. I'm able to look up and down their clearance aisles. I'm able to, you know, go talk to the managers and find out if there's anything, you know, that they're, you know, trying to move if they're going to put anything. If I'm there on a Friday, are you putting anything else out this weekend? You know, when's a good time to come back and those sorts of things. But I can work anywhere and I can support my family just using this model. And just by taking advantage of the marketplace, the Amazon marketplace, as I've mentioned, such a great space, the retail behemoth that it is, to sell proven popular items. And I say proven because, like I said, Amazon is the king of data, but when we scan these items with our Amazon seller app, or if you have a scanner, that's one of the other things that you could use, but we talked about ways to get started without spending a lot of money on the front end for supplies and that sort of thing. The Amazon seller app once your account is set up, is a free app in the Play Store or in the Apple Store, and you're already set. So those items, when you scan them, if Amazon's data shows you that it's selling, that the BSR, we talked about the bestsellers rank, supports the purchase of that item, then these are proven items. These are popular items. These are items that people are already looking for. So when I buy my items and ship them in, that's taking advantage of a marketplace platform that I didn't have to build. I didn't have to build an online store. I didn't have to buy all the tools and software, any of that. Amazon has already taken care of that. So as I mentioned, this is a great way to get started with very little money, you know, going in. We talked about getting started. It's got a low entry point. So this has been my preferred method, and it's why Tony and I go out and shop for profits. So we talked about actually getting your items in, and then I think at the end of last week's session, it was, okay, you got your items in, now let's sell them. And so when we talk about selling items, if you've ever been on Amazon, most people on the call right now probably have a Prime account, but if you've ever been on Amazon shopping at all, then you know that there's a buy it now button. Most items, some categorical items or some items in a specific category, for whatever reason, Amazon decides either, a lot of times it's that they sell it, but a lot of times there won't be an actual buy box on it. They'll just list the sellers and let the buyer choose. But the majority of the time there's a buy box. It's a buy it now. It's a click now. You click it and you go to buy it. They even have one-click purchasing. But when we talk about the buy box, I want to talk to you about what it is, why it's important to you if you're selling on Amazon, and how to go about winning the buy box. And so I'll cover it on this screen and then we'll move on. But winning the buy box has a couple of different components to it. But if you want to actually compete with the other sellers, it's important to know that FBA is your best chance. Primarily because if you are a Prime buyer, if you have a Prime account, when you go to buy, you know you want your items as soon as possible. You know that when you go to click on buy it now, and most people don't even look to see who it's sold by, but if it's fulfilled by Amazon, they know that it's coming to them in good packaging. They know most of the time they're going to get it, they're going to get it quickly, and they're going to get it in good condition. And so people are willing to pay a premium for an item that is fulfilled by Amazon, as opposed to, let's say, going over to eBay and understanding, if I place this item, if I place the order on a Friday afternoon after the post office closes, chances are that person might be, you know, busy with their family on Saturday. Maybe it'll go out on Monday. If they're in California and I'm in Virginia, might be another 3 or 4 days. And nowadays, everyone wants what they want when they want it. And so especially once they've gotten to Amazon, as I mentioned, they're ready to purchase. They're ready to purchase, and most of the time it's something that they want in their possession as quickly as possible. So if you are an Amazon seller and you have your items up there in the fulfillment center ready to be fulfilled, the chances of you winning the buy box are going to be greater. Amazon knows that this is what their customers are looking for, and they are very customer focused. The second part of winning the buy box is going to be the price. So you need to know your numbers. Don't just put an item up and, you know, the lowest price is $19.99, so you're going to match that price if you're going to lose money. Once again, we want you to know what your numbers are in terms of meeting your goals. Everything sells on Amazon. So we like to say, my price is my price. So just because some other seller might be selling it at $19.99, I don't know what their numbers are. I don't know what they bought it for. I don't know, in most cases, how many they have. I don't know how much they may have paid to attain it, if they had to pay shipping and that sort of thing. But I know what I need to sell it for in order to meet my goals. And so I'm going to set my price at a place that's competitive in order to win the buy box, but I don't want to undercut myself. So make sure that your price is competitive. Make sure that, you know, you're not like an outlier way on the other side of the highest price. That takes a little bit of finagling once you've been on there a little while, but I will give you what my own personal method is. And that's usually, I look at the middle of the road. If there are a number of sellers on a popular item, and I'll just throw a number out, but if there are 20 sellers on an item, I'm going to look around the middle of what the price is. And most times I'm going to go up by about 20% from there. I don't like to be the highest price, and I am never going to be the lowest price. If I'm the lowest price on Amazon, I know that I'm leaving money on the table if that's a ranked item. And so that's my own personal, you can figure that out in terms of what your numbers look like. But for me personally, I try to stay around a 40 or 50% ROI. But when I'm pricing it to get the buy box, and we can talk about some other strategies later, but when I'm pricing it to get the buy box, I'm actually going to shoot for the middle there, and then I'm going to go up by about 20%. I know that as those items sell, the people that are on the lower end of the pricing spectrum are going to fall off, and eventually they'll get to me. If it's a low ranked item, that's not going to take very long, but that's a big piece of it for me. You have to know your numbers. You have to know what you can sell it at and still meet your goals. Fulfillment speed. Amazon wants to know that if you are shipping this out merchant fulfilled, you've got to have a track record of actually getting those items out quickly. Again, they're very customer focused. And so if you have had a history of, tarrying, they give you maybe 3 days to get it out, and you're shipping it out late at night on the third day, that sort of thing. When the numbers roll back around, you're not going to be as likely to get the buy box. Product stock. Amazon wants to know that you have items in their inventory, whether it's merchant fulfilled or in their fulfillment center, but in the inventory that you can fill. And so if you've got 40 of an item and another person has 2 of an item, and you guys have the same price, you are probably going to get the buy box based on Amazon's algorithm more quickly and more often than that other person, just because Amazon they're getting paid every time they sell an item. So they want to know that if someone comes into that particular product box and they want 4 of an item, that you've got the stock to fill it. If the person that has 2 is there, Amazon doesn't want that person to go off of that page. If the buy box says only 2 available and that person is looking for 4, they may click off of the page and go somewhere else and look. So the more items you have in stock, the more product that you have in stock of a particular item is going to increase your chances of getting the buy box. Amazon is big on the health of your account. We call them metrics, but I spoke about the acronyms of ODR, but the overall defect rate, that's going to be your returns, your bad feedback, bad experience. Someone returned something and then they had a bad experience and left negative feedback. Valid tracking numbers. Amazon requires that you have valid tracking numbers on the majority of the items that you're actually merchant fulfilling. And then the response time. So every time there's a communication that comes into your message box or your inbox on Amazon, they want you to respond to that person within 24 hours. And that applies even if you do have your listing set on vacation mode. So there are some ways you can go into your settings and you can make sure that you actually get, a text message when someone leaves a message and that sort of thing, to make sure that you don't miss anything and that you don't mess up the health of your account or your overall metrics. So you've got the buy box on a few items, and now you're wondering, how can I find out, more items that I can actually source and ship in? So Google has a ton of different tools and items. Everyone knows there's different plugins, all kinds of stuff. But one of the things that I use in addition to Google Shopping is Google Trends. And I'm going to see if I can, I didn't have screenshots, so I was going to pull it up. But if you go over to Google Trends, it will actually tell you what's trending. And I like to use this in conjunction with Google Shopping. And so you're going to add a search term here. I like to sell in the home category, and I also like to sell, this time of year, I like to sell in outdoor lawn or garden. So what you can do is look for the last 30 days and see what the trend has been. You can look different categories, all different sort of categories. I like to stick with shopping for the most part. And then you can come over here and it'll actually, you can see the trends either in web searches on Google, people that are doing image searches on Google. If people are actually going to Google News, I like to look at shopping, but you can pick and choose whatever it is that you want. So let's look at pool floats. If I go to the home and garden, you'll see that there is at different interests by region, by sub-region. You can see like where the majority of the searches are coming from. You can look at and there's foam, which is a topic for pool floats. And then you'll be able to see exactly what people are looking for. So this is a tool that I use really often just to try to decide what I need to actually look for when I'm going into stores. And just because someone's looking for specific subjects here, this is what people are typing in. And so this is a rising or trending item. If I go to the top items, and you got 25 of them over here, I'll kind of flip through these and see what people are looking for. So Intex, cheap, cool, large, these are trending right now. These are some of the searches that people are doing. So baby pool floats, floaties. And what I would do is I would actually come over to Google Shopping. So what I'm able to do is if I'm looking for, I think it was large pool floats. Then Google Shopping will come up with some of the top items. And if I'm looking to actually make a profit on them, I'm going to go and sort these by price just to see what's out there. And so I see that these are some of the top items: donuts, animals, Relax-A-Mat, transparent, Winnie the Pooh, lots and lots of items in here. So what I can do at that point, like I said, I'm going to try and keep this short in the interest of time so that you guys can hop on the Q&A. But what I can do is go over here and search Google for any of these images. And if it pops up and it shows that it's actually being sold on Amazon, then I know, and there they are. But it actually gives me the ASIN right there for that particular item, the one that I typed in. I'll be able to go over and see about what it's selling for. And then the next thing in the search engine is actually Walmart. I've gone out to Walmart today, so I'll go over there and check and see if I might be able to make a profit on that item. So if I'm going into Walmart today, a lot of times I'll do a quick search on the trending items. I'll do a quick search on a few images. And then when I walk into Walmart, I already have an idea of a few items that I might be able to source that I can make some money off of. And as you can see, my computer's spinning and spinning. But that's just one of the ways to be able to find a couple of items. That was basically a floating turtle. When I clicked on it, found it on Amazon. Here, we know that we can at least get it from $4.86. Not sure if it's going to be that cheap at Walmart, but well, here it comes. But as you can see, I went straight, clicked on it. It pulls up an ASIN, tells me that there's 2 of them. That looks like it's already at about $20. So definitely at least an opportunity to make some money. And again, just a quick web search that will give you a great way to be able to find a few items that might be able to grow your inventory by finding a few items when you're going out. Now, this looks like one that they may not be able to list in new condition just because I see that there's brand new in box, never used, but they've listed it as like new, good condition in original box. So one of the ways around this is when you have an item that's brand new and Amazon won't let you list it either because of some of the restrictions, whether it's a category restriction or a brand name. This is Swimways. I know that I'm able to sell there, but if you are not, you can list it in another condition and then just put a comment in there that says it's brand new, never used, listing is collectible since the box was open. And so a lot of times people will very simply just cut the tape on a box just to say that it's an open box so they can list it as a like new item. And if someone's looking for this item, they come over to Amazon. These are the only 2 here. So here it's going to sell for a little over $23. Here just under $20 or just under $20. And if I'm able to go and find it, right there it says, well, that's shipping at Walmart, but it looks like it would have to be shipped. Sears, we don't have a Sears anymore, but if I'm able to find that item at Walmart for $4.86, then I know that I can plug that into my revenue calculator and see if I can make a profit on it. So again, I didn't want to take up a lot of time going through that, but I did want to be able to show you what I meant by trending. So that's just finding an item using Google Trends, and then it's just a way to figure out the best times. As you saw on the screen, it tells you when those searches for the trend or when those trending items are spiking. So if I look at it today and, you know, the item is not trending today, but I can go all the way back to a year ago, but I can see that, you know, right around July the 4th, it was trending, then I know that I can probably source it now and, you know, list it for around the holidays, you know, in the summer or whatever. But that's one way that you can find a couple of items. So now I've got some items. I went out, I used Google Trends. Let's see, I think I may have some of these out of order. But I got Google Trends and I found a few items that I wanted to ship in. And so as I mentioned, we're going to have some videos, actual videos, step-by-step videos that will show you how to get a shipping plan set up. But I wanted to go over the steps tonight in case you haven't made one yet. So it's not nearly as daunting as you may think it is if you've never done it, but you've got all your inventory listed in Amazon. You're ready to send it in and you're going to create a shipping plan. So in your shipping plan, you basically want to select the products that you're going to send in. So you're going to go through your inventory one by one and find out, you know, is this something I'm going to send in or continue to merchant fulfill? So I'll give you an example. Today I sold several Halloween items. It's July. I don't know why they're selling now, but I sold several Halloween items today. And so they were actually sitting here waiting to be shipped in. And normally I'll send my Halloween items in around the middle of August. I like to stay a few months ahead, but they were sitting here waiting to be shipped in, had not been shipped in yet. So I would not probably, in creating a shipment today, I would not have put those into the shipping plan. You're going to go through and select which items you want to send into Amazon, and then you're going to select how many. So if I've got out of the items that sold today, each of them, I had multiples. But if I had, let's say, 30 of each of them, and it's August, I'm shipping them in, I may not send all of them in right away. The closer we get to an actual holiday, I might send more of them in. But if I have 30 of them, I might send in 18 or 20, depending. You're going to select the quantity. The shipping method, Amazon is going to give you a couple of options. They like UPS. I like UPS. We get some great discounts as sellers going through the Amazon platform to buy your shipping. They're not giving us this great discount. They're giving Amazon this great discount because they are such a big customer. They're always shipping things through UPS. So you're going to pick your shipping method. I typically select UPS, but if there are, you know, if there is a postal service, you know, 2 doors down from you or right around the corner and you don't want to drive all the way across town to UPS, then you might select a different carrier. But the carrier details are going to come up. It's going to ask you how big your box is. It's going to ask you, well, not here. It's going to ask you how you're going to ship it. You're going to add all that stuff in. It's going to ask you if you want to prep and label your inventory or if you want them to do it. Now, again, Amazon will make this very easy for you, especially if you are, I know like Tony was running out to go on vacation. So if she just got some inventory and if she needed to get it sent in before she left, I don't know that this is her story, but if she needed to get it sent in, Amazon will actually label all of her inventory for her and prep everything if she chose for them to do that. You can select that when you're shipping your inventory in. Typically for me, I like to keep my costs down, and so I'm going to prep and label all of my inventory as I'm sending it in. So there's not going to be additional prep fees added to this shipping plan. So those are just the steps in creating a shipping plan. When you get that part done, Amazon is going to actually generate all the labels that you need for the products that you're going to send in. You're going to put your own label on it. That's what identifies that product is yours. When they pick it in the fulfillment center, scan it to get shipped out, that's how you get paid. So your labels are very important. They're going to actually generate a shipping label for your boxes for you to ship your items in. Again, all of these fees will come directly out of your account. So if you've sold a ton of items, these shipping fees will just come directly out of your account before you are paid. So this is not one of those things where you've got to accumulate a bunch of money in order to get started on Amazon, in order to get started on FBA. We encourage everyone, just get started. If you have a few items that you want to ship in, just get started. Nicole laid out a great plan at the beginning at the onset of at eCom Sellers Academy, where she showed you exactly how to roll all of that money back in so that you can get closer to meeting your goals. But it doesn't take a lot to get started. We've had so many success stories. One in particular that comes to mind where the first FBA shipment was $75, 75 items at the Dollar Tree. And they made a ton of money off of that, several $100s, and they turned it around and continued to flip it. So just get started. It's not as daunting as you may have thought. I know my very first Amazon FBA shipment, it's like I was sitting there almost biting my nails because I had heard all these things about, how arduous the process was and how long it was going to take and that sort of thing. But I started with a small shipment just so that I could learn the ins and outs, so that I could see how everything went. I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew, so I started off with 10 or 12 items just so that I could get used to the labeling, so that I'd know how it prints everything off, so I could get my own system set up with, how I'm going to put the labels in, and if I'm going to reuse the other side of the labels. If I'm only printing off 10 and it's a set of 30, I know I can flip it around and use the other 20, that sort of thing. But I wanted to be able to get started and understand it without feeling overwhelmed. So that's something we can encourage you to do. Once you get your items ready to go ship in, a lot of times what will come up, I don't know if anyone has had this happen, but I wanted to at least broach a couple of subjects that people might have questions about, because these are real issues that came up for me, and not the last shipment that I had, but a few shipments ago. And by the time you get on the phone with Amazon, a lot of people get really frustrated. We want to decrease the level of frustration. So we want to bring up things that might come up and give you real ways to approach it. So if you come up with a shipment and you get items that Amazon is going to tell you that this is hazardous material, you're not able to put it in the shipment because it's hazardous material. And so you might wonder, like, well, how am I going to know if it's hazardous if, the UPS doesn't say it's hazardous. UPS says I can ship it. The Postal Service doesn't say it's hazardous. They don't list that on their website. They say I can ship it. But I'm going to tell you that if you got notified by Amazon that this is a hazardous item, that they want hazmat packaging, you're going to go with what Amazon says. Same thing with any other platform. Otherwise, you're going to lose another product in your inventory line. You don't want to not be able to ship that in because Amazon sees it as hazardous and you are not able or ready to follow the process that they want for you to get it shipped in. So I was actually able to find some diamond labels. They're actually hazmat labels on uline.com. And I don't know if I put the slide in there, but basically I put one on either side of the box. And then you want to reserve the top of your box for your actual shipping labels. But it's going to say hazmat. And that's basically all that Amazon is asking for. If your box does not have the up arrows or this side up arrows on it, you can print off 4x6 labels and just put that on the side of the box. Amazon wants to make sure that if something is combustible, if it's pressurized, if it's an aerosol, those things can blow up. So they want to make sure that the item stays upright, that it's under the least amount of pressure as possible. So you can follow the instructions that Amazon gives you just by going to Uline, getting some of the diamond hazmat labels, slapping those on the top of on the side of the box, putting your shipping label on the top of the box, and putting some this side up labels on the box if the boxes that you have don't say that. But there are, each carrier has a website that will give you specifics about how to ship hazardous materials or hazardous items. The UPS has one. And I know that I had them in here, but I think it's in my speaker notes. I don't know that I made a slide for it. But we will, after this, I will actually post all of the links that I have for the carriers and Uline and actual pictures of the diamond labels that I'm talking about in the comments inside eCom Sellers Academy so that you'll have a reference point to go to. But the bottom line is we have some resources for shipping, but if your platform states that it's hazardous, that's who you're going to go with. You're going to go with their specific requirements for handling and shipping hazardous material. You're not going to worry about whether or not, you know, this is some organic soap. I know that there's nothing in it that would hurt anybody. I know that it's not hazardous material, but if Amazon wants it packaged as such, then it's your responsibility as a seller to follow their guidelines. So we'll make sure you get the resources for that. So are there any costs for FBA? So if you already have an Amazon account and you're set up as a professional seller, there are no additional charges. There's no additional subscription fees. There's no setup charges just to get started with FBA. And overall, it's cost effective. So you're only going to pay for the services you use. So if you're actually shipping items in, you're going to pay to be a professional seller, which is $39.99 a month. But if you're only shipping items in, you're going to pay for your shipping labels, and you're going to pay for your the actual cost. Well, your shipping labels is the actual cost of your shipping. You're not going to pay to have items labeled unless you send items in without a label and ask Amazon to label them for you. You can find out exactly how cost-effective FBA is by using the revenue calculator, sellercentral.amazon.com. But Seller Central has all of the tools that you need to figure out exactly how to get started on FBA. We just want to give you some tips, some strategies, some tools, and some shortcuts. So another thing that we can, without a doubt, give you some tips on in order to grow your business is just about offering top of the line service. So this is a great way to actually get some feedback, especially if you're a new seller, so that people will look at you with a little more regard in terms of, you know, when they're getting ready to buy something. If you don't have any feedback, if, you know, person actually takes a chance and buys something from you, you want to provide top of the line service. And by doing that, you can absolutely blow your competition out of the water. I can't tell you how many repeat sales I get, how many people will actually come back and say, oh, I love the way you packaged this, or I love the way, you know, you followed up and that sort of thing. And they'll come back to buy an item that they're going to use. I like to sell consumable items, something they're going to use up. When it's time to buy it again, they'll actually come directly to my storefront or go look for me as a seller. And so you can get a step up just by following a few simple steps when it comes to customer service. One of the things is actually beginning with your listing. If you're not piggybacking off of another listing, if you're going out and you're buying something and creating a listing, you want to make sure that it is a clear listing, that it doesn't leave a bunch of questions. It gives the size, it gives the dimension, it gives the uses, it talks about the features. You want to make sure that they get everything they need when they come to your listing. You want to specify a clear return policy in your store so that there aren't any questions, you know, about whether or not they can return it if it's the wrong size, if it's the wrong color, if it doesn't match, or they decide they don't need it. This is a great way to get started from the very beginning with offering world-class service. You want to make sure that as you are actually sending the items in, I like to take pictures of my boxes. I love to do that. Take pictures of the packaging before I ship things into Amazon, especially for FBA, so that if I need to fulfill it on my own, or if someone actually posts a question as a seller, I can actually answer that question. So I want to make sure that I have some knowledge about the product to be able to answer any questions that might come up from a customer in terms of, you know, is it able to be used in this way? Is it offered in any other colors? That sort of thing. If I've got something and I've sent it in and it's 5 different colors, you know, when I get in there and see the variations, I don't want to have to go through and see, well, do I have any purple left? Do I have any blue left, or whatever? I want to know specifically what colors were available at the time, and if they are available for me. As a seller, I'm always able to go in and answer questions that come up on a specific item, even if I don't currently have the buy box. So if someone's looking for purple and the buy box variation, they only have a green one available, I'm able to go and answer the question, yes, it's available in purple, you know, from this seller, and Amazon does allow that. Be responsive to your customers. If they have questions specifically after purchasing an item, has it been shipped? How soon will it come? Can it be shipped sooner? Can I get expedited shipping? Any of those questions that might come if you are merchant fulfilling an item, you want to make sure that you're very responsive to your customers. That goes a long way. They don't want to have to wonder after they've paid. Now you got to remember Amazon is handling everything for you. So they are processing this customer's payment. You don't have to touch their credit card. You don't have to see any of their information, any of their personal information. All you're getting is a shipping address. So once they've paid, they don't want to have to wonder, you know, well, my item, I don't see that my item is shipped and it's been 3 days. You know, you can come back to them and say, you know, here's the policy, it's shipping tomorrow or whatever, and it's shipping priority, so you should expect it in whatever, you know, time frame. But you want to be responsive. That goes a long way. Taking time to be memorable and going an extra mile in prepping and shipping, as I mentioned before, it not only ensures that you're going to get an on-time delivery because the box is not ripped or torn or whatever that might delay the shipping, but also that their item is going to arrive to them in great condition. I do a lot of grocery and I do a lot of small toys. So it's always imperative, especially when you're dealing with, you know, things that people may be ordering because they can't get it locally, something that they've been wanting for a very long time. They went to Amazon, they found it, it's being shipped. They want to make sure that it's going to arrive to them in pristine condition. They want to make sure that it's going to get to them on time. They don't want any delays. They don't want to hear, oh, the post office sent it back because, you know, the packaging wasn't correct or whatever. So making sure that you actually spend a little bit extra time on that end if you're doing a merchant fulfill item for something that that they will get the best possible service in the least amount of time. If you get a question from your customer, there are so many ways that you can actually change it from a negative to a positive. So it just makes all the difference in the world. Instead of saying, you know, what's your issue or what's your problem, if you just change the wording to use phrases like, how can I be of service or how can I help? If you don't know, make sure you let them know that you're researching it, that you'll get back to them. And if you've ever had an opportunity to eat at one of the, actually today was Cow Appreciation Day, but Chick-fil-A, I love their service, but it's my pleasure. That's always very well received. So instead of just saying, you know, you're welcome, if they thank you for good service, you just tell them, you know, it was my pleasure. I'm glad to serve you. Be open and honest. If there is a delay for any reason, or if there's an issue with their shipment or an issue with the actual product, whether it's not the one they ordered or, you know, that the packaging may be not in the best shape or whatever, make sure that you reach out to the customer and just let them know. You don't want to send something as a gift that, you know, may not be in the best condition, even though the packaging is just going to be ripped off and tossed. If they're sending that item as a gift, they don't want it to arrive and look like, you know, it came from a secondhand warehouse store or whatever. So just make sure that you reach out to them and let them know, hey, this item's been sitting in the warehouse for a little bit, or I picked it up from a warehouse. It might be, you know, the outside of the packaging may be a little worn, just to make sure that that is something that's okay with them. And if it's not, now Amazon does a great job of this, but if it's not already built into whatever platform you're using, you want to make sure that you provide a way for them to leave you feedback. I love the fact that Amazon allows us to use templates. And so if you're going to send out a message over and over, like I send a message when the item is shipped, I send a message when the item, when it shows that it's delivered, I send a message just to check and see, you know, if everything was okay, and give them an opportunity to let me know in that platform, in email or the messaging, if there's an issue before they go and file a claim or open, you know, a response through Amazon or leave a negative feedback. I give them every opportunity to be able to communicate directly with me. So I do that as soon as they make the purchase. I thank them. And then when the item ships out, I let them know that it's shipped, and, you know, they can go and check the tracking on it. But that's a great way to also request feedback after the item is delivered, just to see if there's, you know, if there aren't any issues. Would you mind taking 10 seconds just to leave feedback? As a small business on Amazon, it really means a lot to me. They like to hear that sort of thing. And then, of course, just a way to say thank you. Thank you, or thank you for your purchase. That goes a long way. I typically handwrite it real quickly. My handwriting is not the best, but I'll write a quick thanks for your purchase on the packing slip when I stick it inside. If I'm doing merchant fulfill, I'll send a quick email if I see that Amazon has already fulfilled something from their warehouse, but it actually does go a long way. I don't think that as entrepreneurs in the e-commerce arena that we often think about the personal touch of an actual purchase. So especially if someone, has bought something for, as I mentioned before, but as a gift, especially for a child, but just to let them know that it has shipped, that it was delivered. They may not be having it delivered directly through them if they're using Prime. 2-day shipping can go anywhere. Just following up with them and letting them know what's going on with their purchase. There's a couple of optional features that you can use that will help you grow your business as well. Multi-channel fulfillment, that your inventory that sits in Amazon, you're able to fulfill orders if you have your own website or if you're selling anything on Amazon or Bonanza or any place else. Amazon is still handling all of your shopping. I mean, not your shopping, your shipping, your storage, and your customer service if you're fulfilling it from their warehouse. So you're able to actually fulfill orders to other places using the Amazon warehouse. FBA export, if you want to go international, Canada, Mexico, I know they just expanded to Australia, you can do that with just a few clicks, but you can go to Amazon.com and you can figure out which items are eligible just by expanding the screen that shows all of your inventory to see if it's eligible. And then you can actually export all of that to customers all around the world. And there's no additional cost. You're not going to pay an additional subscription fee or anything like that. The customer is going to be able to, inside of that platform, choose what type of shipping, and then Amazon's automatically going to charge them any additional shipping. So it's a great way to get some additional sales. And as I said, additional sales, if your numbers are right, should mean additional income. And that's what most of us think about when we talk about growing our e-commerce businesses. This is something that I use pretty regularly, but there's a promotion going on right now. So I wanted to make sure that I at least touched on it. I think this is the last piece I'm going to cover. Give you guys a chance to hop on the Q&A that's starting at 9:30, and you can go through any of the things that I've covered tonight, as well as any of the previous trainings, or if you've just got questions specific to your own Amazon store. But there's a restock inventory option when you're in your Amazon back office. When you're in your inventory page, restock inventory will come up, and it will actually give you recommendations on which of your products you're running low on. This is an excellent tool. If you don't pay attention to it, you might want to just kind of go in and look at your inventory and see if Amazon has recommendations. But this tool is meant to give you information that's going to help you manage your inventory levels. Amazon has a lot of algorithms that they use that help determine, as I mentioned before, the actual option of you getting the buy box, but there's an actual demand for your products, and that is going to include, your price fluctuations, how the customer demand shifts, and so they're already tracking all that. So they can say, I think I do have a couple of screenshots of that, but they're able to say exactly how much of an item, you probably want to send in, which is very helpful. These recommendations, of course, don't guarantee that these items are going to sell in that amount of time. You've still got to go and be responsible for seeing, making sure that your prices and your inventory levels match what you've set out as your goals. But these are some really good tools that you can use just to grow your business. So if you look over here, there's a recommended order quantity, and I actually just did a screenshot. This wasn't all the way down, but I did this yesterday. So it was saying that they were recommending that I actually order 2 more of these on today. They know how long it takes for me to get my items in. They track all of that. And on this item here, they recommended that I order an additional 11 items and that I order it today. That was yesterday, so that it would get in the time that they suggested. The promotion that I was talking about was up at the top of the page, but I'll get into it a little bit later. So they actually were offering storage discounts on long-term storage fees if you actually met their inventory guidelines. So there's a whole, if you go over to your help things on the upper right part of your screen, but getting started with Amazon FBA, but they go into how they receive and store your inventory and how the fees work. But there's an actually storage fee promotion because they want to know that you're going to actually keep enough inventory in there. Again, Amazon is all about customer service. They want to make sure that if a customer comes to their website to order something, that the products are there and available for them to actually buy. So you can set your preferences up, and this is what they know about how long it takes for me to get something, for me to get it, for me to get it packaged, for me to get it prepped, and for me to get it over to Amazon. They want to make sure that I'm actually reaching out to my supplier 4 weeks in advance. And based on, this was on that first product that I showed you, based on the number of products that I typically keep in inventory, they wanted me to actually order it at least every 8 weeks. So every couple of months, because it takes a couple of weeks to get them in, they're telling me that I can set my preferences here, but these were the recommended amounts that they put in. You can go in and change them. But they base all of this off of their own algorithms. So the comparison is if you actually keep your inventory stocked with up to 4 weeks of inventory and at a certain level that they want, then they're going to give you a promotion on your actual storage fees. This is a great way to reduce your storage fees, which of course is going to increase your profit. So again, these are just some easy, low-hanging fruit, just some easy ways for you to actually grow your business by watching things like your customer service, by restocking your inventory and watching out for things like promotions that Amazon may have that are going to give you an opportunity to decrease your costs. So here, if you've got the items in there, and this runs all the way through next January, so this is great, but from now or from last month through September of this month, you're actually going to normally pay 69 cents per cubic foot, and this is just any item that is standard size. And then for these items, you're going to pay 17 cents per cubic foot, and that's because you're actually meeting their inventory requirements. And so this is a great way to just be able to go and lower your fees, which is going to increase your profit and not have to do anything additional. Just place an extra order if that's what you're going to do. And so wrapping up for tonight, I want to make sure that we know that there are always questions that we get when it comes to e-commerce. And so when we look specifically at retail arbitrage, these were some of the things that Tony and I are going to talk about in session 3 next week. But criteria for sourcing, what do you really want to look for in terms of meeting your numbers? What kinds of items are going to be the best items to actually ship up? And so of course we're going to cover things like the competition, the number of sellers, your ROI and that sort of thing. But just to make sure that you come back next week, these are some of the common questions as you get into actually scaling your business and finding ways to actually increase your sales, increase your profit, and take your retail arbitrage business to a whole nother level. That's what I like to say. There are also opportunities for bundling, and we'll talk to you some about, when UPC codes are required, that sort of thing. Ways to track your inventory. A lot of people don't use the tools that are given to us in Amazon in the back office, but we'll cover just a few of those. I know everybody uses different items, but I'll go into how I use it to actually track my inventory so that I can see the promotions and things like I just showed you to make sure that I'm actually placing orders if I need to, or actually going back out to the stores and talking to the managers if I'm actually walking in to do retail arbitrage, making sure that I've got the proper amount of lead time to get those items shipped back in. There's a bunch of business reports that are back there that we can just briefly go over. Again, everyone's business is different, and so what you use, how you use it, and the information that you gather and actually utilize is going to be different for everyone's business, but we do want to show you what's back there. And then of course, there's always our own list of, recommended tools, things that you can use to make some of these processes go a little bit more smoothly. One of them that I talk a lot about is the feedback, but they're all optional. None of these are required tools. We like to say, you handle your business the way you handle your business. So, it's your business. It's not our business. We will never tell you that there's a mandatory tool, you know, that you got to use to do something the way we do it. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and especially when it comes to retail arbitrage, where all the products might be different, and all the stores, if you're in a different part of the country, you may be shopping in different stores than we're actually shopping in. So we'll give you some tips, tools, and strategies of the way that we do things and the tools we use. But again, just keep in mind that these are never going to be mandatory. You know, none of this is mandatory to make money in e-commerce. None of this is mandatory to make money using FBA. We've just found that some of the things that work for us, we'd like to share them in case, you know, you're looking for a solution to something that you've actually come across. So just to review some of the things I went through tonight. So Amazon is still at the top of the retail chain, and the customers are already there looking for these products. That's one of the reasons retail arbitrage works. That's one of the reasons Amazon in any way works. And then FBA, of course, that's what we're talking about tonight. The pros and cons that are going to be available on any platform, but with FBA, we know that Amazon is doing most of the work for us. And since they're doing the heavy lifting, the shipping, the warehouse, and the customer service, it frees you up to be able to do some additional sourcing. It frees you up to be able to live your life and do things that you might not have been able to do if you were actually fulfilling all of these orders yourself. A lot of times as small business owners, we've been in the past afraid to grow outside of our comfort zone because we don't know if we get, you know, 100 orders in a day, if we're going to be able to take care of that ourselves. Well, Amazon FBA takes all of that uncertainty out of the picture, because when you send it into them, they're taking care of it. And then just some of the things that I talked about tonight, just being able to grow your business using very simple things, just small changes that you can do in terms of like the restocking tool, being able to lower your fees if a promotion comes up, knowing how to watch out for those, and then simple changes in terms of offering world-class customer service. It can make all the difference in the world when it comes to your business. So next week, again, we're going to go through some of those things that I talked about. And then as we go into the end of another month, well, we just finished another month, our question to you is, are you ready? So we've got Q4 Summit coming up. We've been talking about Q4 since the beginning of the year when we had our first summit, but Q4 is the time of year when everyone's business can explode exponentially. So we want to make sure that you are ready. We've got a summit coming up. I'm sure Nicole had plenty of time to talk about this before I hopped on, but from August the 5th through August the 7th, we want to help you get your shop in order. We want to help you make this the best Q4 you've ever had. So we want to just tell you that, you know, you can follow the hashtag eCom Q4 Summit. The information is going to be available very shortly. I know I heard Nicole talking about all the marvelous speakers that we've already got committed, but put this on your calendar. Don't miss it. Nicole will be there. I will be there. If you were there for the summit in February, we've got some of the return speakers that are coming, and we've got some new and improved, new marvelous ones that are just going to knock your socks off. So the mastermind, if you have not joined it, it's a free e-commerce support Facebook group where like minds come together and we talk about all of this stuff and much, much more. So if you haven't joined it yet, join today. The link is down here, but just go to the groups. You can go type up in the search bar on Facebook, the ecomsellersmastermind.com. And of course, we want to thank each of you as our Academy members. This is where we want you to be for all of your ecom training, all of the support that you need. Of course, we are a community here. We think of you as family, and we want you to know that your success matters. So again, thanks for your time and your attention tonight. And we will be right back here. Tony will join me next week with some fabulous examples of some of the things that she did while she's been traveling all over the place and finding all these great deals. So thanks again. We'd love to be able to help you.